Globalization has constructed administrative state. Globalization means has made administrative state into corporate, or to save and serve the. In other words, you have become a tool in the hands of the corporate is the point. Discuss how transnational, you don't have to take only as transnational corporation, take it as globalization impacts public administration. So overall question is about what is the impact of globalization on public administration? That is a point. Impact of globalization on public administration. Fine. First, obviously, as we keep multiple times, I mean, I've seen a lot of you have written the definition of globalization. Fair enough, I can't tell you don't have to write that, but it is not a GS1 question or GS3 question to write definition of globalization. Better what you write the context. How did globalization in the recent context emerge? Please write that. Globalization emerged in the recent context in the backdrop of, first you write this, globalization emerged in the recent times in the backdrop of disintegration of USSR, in the backdrop of disintegration of USSR, in the backdrop of disintegration of USSR, and of course end of Cold War, disintegration of USSR, end of Cold War, and emergence of an unipolar world led by US. Emergence of unipolar world led by United States. This is the context. Now, if you want, you can define globalization. It is defined as what? Globalization can be defined as interconnectedness between. Globalization can be defined as interconnectedness between interconnectedness between the countries and systems. Interconnectedness between the countries and the systems across the world. Across the world. Right? Obviously, what? This affects public administration also. So you are entering the answer now. This affects public administration too, more than obvious. This affects public administration also. Fine. Now again, if you want to make it theorize, you can tell there are multiple views on the impact of globalization, especially on developing countries. Multiple views on impact of globalization. Multiple views about the impact of globalization on the developing countries. On the developing countries. First one is what? Positive view or integrationist view. Positive view or integrationist view. Integration means very smooth, positive observation. Given by whom? Given by Francis Fukuyama. Positive view given by Francis Fukuyama. If you want, just to make it more paper one oriented, you write, yeah, the end of history and the last man. The end of history and the last man. That means he felt global village, global, everything will get globalized. The end of history and the last man. Positive view. Francis Fukuyama. Then negative view, disintegrationist view. Disintegrationist view. Given by Samuel Huntington. Samuel Huntington in his work, The Clash of Civilizations. The Clash of Civilizations and Remaking of World Order. The clash of civilizations and the remaking of the world order. The clash of civilizations and the remaking of the world order. Fine, that is a broader perspective. Now, obviously, what is the core demand? How does it affect? Put the heading, global impact of globalization on PABAD. Impact of globalization on public administration. Under that, obviously, first is what? Tell the positive view. Or because they're telling corporate structure this, that, okay, I think you can write both ways. Positive view. How it has improved. First one, obviously, what it has done. You can link it to NPM. NPM in the context of globalization led to what? Market principles into public administration. Market principles into PABAD, thereby improving its 3 E's. Improve 3 E's. Fine. Then financial discipline. Financial discipline by reducing what you can say, wastages, in bracket you can say e-governance. Fine, focusing on profit, if you want in bracket you write PPPs, user fees, etc. And then globalization, even good governance is linked. Good governance in the context of globalization led to what? Increase in transparency, accountability, in bracket you write RTI, citizens charter. Then reforms in laws. Fine, to improve ease of doing business. Post 1991. So this I am structuring, you write it in your answers in kind of statements and everything. Fine. So these are all kind of positives. Even you can keep on writing. Then criticism, how it has affected. So many ways are there. That's what the criticisms is what first criticism is what? Administrative state has become corporate state. Means what? Serving the, as the name itself says, serving the interest of whom? Companies. Serving companies' interests. Serving the company's interests. Then second criticism, state's role in allocation of resources. State's role in the allocation of resources has been compromised. State's role in the allocation of resources has been compromised. Sir, what do you mean by allocation of resources? For example, Article 39, Clause B, 39, Clause C. Why is this? Because who owns the resources now? Because most of the resources is owned by or in the control of private sector. Because most of the resources owned by private. Fine. Then as they keep telling, it has led to what? Globalization has led to loss of sovereignty, loss of democracy in developing countries. Loss of sovereignty and democracy in developing countries because of the context of what? Global constitutionalism. because of the context of global constitutionalism. Means in simple terms, which one? International organizations, because whatever they tell, you more or less we have to listen, because as a developing country we have limitations. Emergence of the international organizations, loss of sovereignty, loss of democracy in developing countries, global constitutionalism, international organizations. Fine, that is another criticism. Next criticism, what you can say is developing countries' interests. Developing countries' interests are not protected in international fora. That's a criticism, not 100% this or that, protected in international fora. Very simple is what? In the context of what? Climate change, you can say. Developing countries are asking a lot, but always a differences. In the context of food security, remember WTO issues, food security, or you can say climate change in UNFCCC, under UNFCCC, climate change issues, food security in WTO. Because they keep telling that if you keep procuring like that, so they have a, okay, that all you know, that all economy aspects. Fine, this is another criticism what they tell. And of course, largely what they keep telling, overall globalization has led to the phenomena of what? Commodification of citizens. So more or less NPM points you can overlap, because NPM, globalization all interlinked. It has led to commodification of the citizens. Okay, so that is broadly, you can't stop here. However, what you have to tell, as we keep telling, it has already been improved. However, alternative approaches have evolved to address these concerns. Alternative approaches have evolved to address these concerns. Like what? The questions we have already written. Write few points about NPS. Write few points about NWS. NWS, again, you have another question itself in the next paper. We'll discuss that. Like NPS, NWS, New Weberian State. Fine. If you want, in addition, what we have to do? Developing countries should improve their bargaining capacity. Should improve their bargaining capacity to secure their interest in international fora. The best example is how India secured food security Doha deal in international fora. If you want, India's efforts to secure food security, or to ensure food security in WTO Doha deal. To ensure food security in WTO Doha deal. To ensure food security in the WTO Doha deal. Fine. So this is the context. Now, how do you conclude? Again, as identified by Fredericks, what do you have? Globalization will have both. As identified by Fredericks, globalization will have both integrationist and disintegrationist impact. Means it will also lead to integration of the world plus disintegration. Will lead to both integrationist and disintegrationist impact on developing countries. That's what in bracket he calls it as what? Synarchy. Synthesis plus anarchy. Synarchy view. Synthesis, that is integration. Anarchy, that is disintegration. Synarchy view. Same point, what is it also called as? It is also called as globalization by Roland Robertson. It is also called as globalization by Roland Robertson. Fine. So it is not just that you can't 100% criticize that government, what do you call as this administrative state has become corporate state. It is not 100% true, but yes, you can't deny it also. It's like both the view. Clear? So just linking it to thinkers, Fredericks, Roland Robertson, like that. So in and around, if you write also, you can easily expect 50 to 60% score. Means if it's a 15 marker, they have to give you 10, 11, 12, depending on how well have you structured it, how well have you brought the theory one, paper one touch, all those things, they'll give the marks. If it's a 20 marker, 10 marker means, sorry, 15 marker means maximum is how much? Maximum is 9. So out of 9, you may expect 8, 8.5, depending on did you write it in time frame or not.